guys, another episode of War Hero Superhero, transforming military veterans and first responders from the bedroom to the wardroom. It's a special occasion for us. There is a 5th week in the month. Who knew? But these come up occasionally. So we want to welcome you to our new segment, the Superhero Sanctum. This is when we take a special guest of influence and let them drop their superhero tactics to our beloved audience, you. Watching on Facebook, watching on YouTube, watching on Periscope, watching on the Easy Way Wall live. And our special guest is Tamara Linnan, and she specializes in taking your biz from being just a quiet little mouse to a roaring lion in the art world. So we're going to bring her forward to go over and drop that wisdom to our audience, which is you all. So Tamara, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. How are you today, sir?
Doing good, doing good. So our first question for you, because we want to be a roaring lion in the PR world, but what is actually PR? Why do we even need it?
Well, obviously the short term is it's called a press release. And the simplest way to explain it, it is how your brand is viewed by other people. PR is getting who you are out there. It's not an advert. This isn't where you go dump money and expect, huge results to come back financially. Now they can when you do PR correctly, but really PR is just to expose your brand to your ideal audience on a wider scale than we typically, could end up with just doing, paid adverts.
Interesting on that regard. So in the sense of social media, there's so many other ways I can get my platform up, but why do I need that for my biz? I thought hey, if I get myself on, social media and I just go over and I keep throwing marketing dollars at Facebook, I would be fine. But why do I need it for my biz?
Well, throwing marketing dollars at Facebook for someone who isn't aware how their brand is perceived in the public, it's a turkey shoot, right? And we want money's valuable. And so if we spend ad money, we want it to know we're hitting our ideal target. And a bad habit of most entrepreneurs is doing just that. They're just going to blow a bunch of money on Facebook ads, and they're not going to understand how their audience perceives them, where they're at, and the best way to get people to come look at them. And so I say this, everybody needs PR, but you don't need it right away in the aspect of if you do not have a solid course, if you don't know what it is you want to do, all PR does is drive you a bunch of people that will never use your services. So ads drive people to get to you. PR is driving those people over that you want to consume your content long term, right? Facebook adverts are short term. You could switch products, right? You could switch deals. And that's fine, but PR is that long-term effect that's out there. What a lot of people don't realize is when we send out PR blasts, even with the folks we have relationships with, it's between 30 and 90 days before that PR actually is picked up on any platform. Because the best platforms are doing their stories 30, 60, 90 days out, podcasts, that sort of thing, right? They're not doing it the same month. And so PR is that thing that you have to know what you want to drive them towards. I learned from my mentor, Steve Sims, one front door. So when we do PR for individuals, we send them typically to just one place, their website, their coaching site, whatever that is, you want one front door. And that's what we do with PRs. We drive them in through that one front door for these individuals so that they can then see all the things that you offer. And that's the best way to do it than to constantly throw out adverts selling something new every other week, because then you don't look like an expert in anything. But if you present yourself in that one front door area, then that marketing pays off, tenfold for sure.
That's pretty cool to go over and look at it as one front door. So in a sense, if I'm social media, I can constantly pivot. But the thing is that for this, it's like I have to have a longevity plan. So if I'm going to do PR, I'm just not a pickup business of a product or a quick service to turn around. I'm actually wanting to be established within that community then.
Yes, absolutely. You want folks to get used to knowing who you are. And with that one front door, the audience is much more forgiving if you switch products, hell, every month, right? We have to pivot, especially in the coaching realm and that sort of thing, right? But if you get them into that one front door, they will better accept you switching up what you're doing and pivoting. You have to understand, non-entrepreneurs do not understand the brain of an entrepreneur. They don't comprehend how, for example, with myself, 1 minute we could be doing, teach active listening for a call center, right? And the next minute I'm on tour with Les Brown doing his director of operations. Non-entrepreneurs don't understand that. It confuses them. And when they can't wrap their mind around it, they will not use you. So that one front door gives them a stable place to go and kind of eases that shock of, all the multiple things that, great entrepreneurs can do, because no entrepreneur usually has just one project, right? You need 7 or 8 different type of revenue streams. And that one front door kind of calms down or changes the perspective of individuals who do not think as spastically as, us entrepreneurs do. If they can't fathom it, they won't buy it.
That makes sense. Basically, a confused mind does nothing then.
Actually, absolutely. And another quote, I actually had, Steve Sims on my podcast a while ago, and he said, confusion is the cancer of business. Folks are confused about what you do, right? You could be the best of the best, right? I have folks like, Brown and the Steve Simses, Chris Noggle from HGTV. Those type of people pay me, but I couldn't get, because I was confusing people on my brand and what I was doing, and I wasn't sending them through one front door. I wasn't getting the business from those individuals who really did need our services the most. So definitely clarity. You want to be impossible to misunderstand.
And that's really cool to go over and to benefit from. So if I do a good PR request, or maybe I use a service or whatnot, what are the benefits of a good PR request overall?
So for a good PR, we have to tell folks, return on investment is not always cash. And I will submit to you that 9 times out of 10, the best return on investment is not cash. And so a really properly planned PR campaign gets you exposure, helps you build new relationships, and make you aware of people out there that may be a good fit for you to work with, but you didn't know that they existed either. Really, at the end of the day, good PR is just, good networking. It's communication. It's building. Business, to me, my motto is business is communication, period. And folks will do business with you because why? They know, they like, they trust you. And so the biggest benefit of a proper PR campaign is building that network of individuals who know who you are, they trust you, and then are willing to, recommend you to their friends and their family, this sort of thing. Again, PR is not to be used as an advert to expect a bunch of dollars to come in. It is to expect good relationships to come in. And then if we do what we're supposed to do with those relationships, then money, follows after that. And something that I used to do and was really guilty of, and most entrepreneurs still are, is they look at dollar signs instead of, they're an invoice instead of solution, right? So my biggest habit used to be like, hey, Daniel, nice to meet you. And if I found out that you didn't need one of my services, I stopped harvesting that relationship. I went somewhere else, right? Because I was just looking at the immediate in front of me. And it wasn't until I started, caring about the relationships and communication, did my income level change, because Daniel may never need me. I may not have a service that fits for you, but when you definitely know someone may need that. And so the biggest benefit of PR is that communication and building our network of individuals that are our ideal client. And 9 times out of 10, it's not from the first exposure. It's from being introduced, by, someone else into their network. You want to get into other people's sandbox, and that's what PR does.
That's cool. So basically, if I summarize for our audience, is that advertisement dollars, like on Facebook, is like playing checkers, and PR is like playing chess. You're eventually going to win, but you won't see it right away. Like if I move my pawns forward, yes, I could be 10 moves away from checkmate, but if I'm playing checkers, I'll get bored and I'll just leave. So PR is more of a chess game.
Yes, absolutely. That would be correct.
That's really cool. So, what if I want to go learn this skill? I'm maybe not there at that point yet to go over and afford someone that does my PR request, and I maybe am a decent writer and whatnot. What's a good resource to learn this skill?
So Cameron Howell has a book on how to get free PR, and I'll come back later and post these for folks that that can look at it. And so the first place to start really is understanding what should be in a good press release. Because if you don't understand what is in that press release, then you can't understand if you're working with a good PR company or not, or individual. I think, as we both know, I think PR and software are the two biggest things people lose a lot of money on when they, invest, because they don't know enough about it to help themselves. So that book, simply go onto YouTube, and do the search, the 3 critical elements to writing a press release. And you will have suggestions for days and days and days. The great part about a press release is once you write it really well the first time, the only thing that changes for future press is the hook. And so you get that, you do that one time and get that written up, and then it's something you're gonna use long term, and that's the the best thing. And so and that's it, really. Just understand the 3 critical moments. There are Facebook groups for writers. I will tell you, just because you're a good writer does not mean you can write a good press release. I had to practice for months before I got halfway okay with it. It is a skill that you need to work on. And if you have the time and effort to do it, you should do that. PR is really easy to get nowadays. If you, write it yourself. We go directly to journalists. It's never been easier because of communication to actually get really, really PR for free, right? It isn't something that you have to spend a ton of money on until you're ready. The sad part is most entrepreneurs and people, most people are lazy and they just don't take the time to learn how to write the press release, and then how to, get to press for free. And it really is as simple as, for example, we will go find a website or a blog or newspaper that may be a good fit for one of our clients. We read some of the articles and we find a journalist who typically writes about the same sort of things that we're looking to get out there. And then we write that press release. We email it to that journalist specifically with hey, David or Daniel, I saw your article on this, loved it, thought you might like this. And that's where we put the press release for our client. And then we put a Dropbox link where they can go look at photos and other social proof. Do not send attachments to reporters. They will not open it. Do not send attachments. I cannot stress that enough. Put the Dropbox link in there, or if you need to insert a photo, do it directly in the body of the email. And I will tell you, with the 24-hour news cycle that we have now, if you make it that easy for a reporter, they're going to take you up on it. They're under deadlines, they're under stress. And so those are the key things. I know I just dropped a ton, so I'll recap real quick. Go find the book from Cameron Howell for how to get free PR. That book also has the critical elements for how to write a press release. Go on YouTube, type in the 3 critical elements of a press release, watch that, start practicing, and then go out there. You can go out there yourself with money, without any money, and give that stuff to journalists, directly. And so good PR is going to cost you one of 2 things: your time and energy, or your dollars. And just gains where you're at in that, whether or not, if you have the time to do it, great. Everybody needs to be doing it.
And that was just a superhero tactic right there and then, because I'm pretty sure those news reporters that you're submitting that stuff to already get clogged enough email boxes, and it's better for them to pull the information for then you to push, because it can be to them maybe rude that you're assuming that they're interested in you, but when they're pulling from your Dropbox, that they're intrigued.
Absolutely. And they can pick, they might find a better photo. They might find a different way to write a different story on you that you weren't aware of because of your media and that Dropbox. So every one of my clients, the key elements in their Dropbox need to be a subfolder that are the book covers. If they're on Amazon, anything like that, just the front of the book cover need to be in a folder. You need a folder with headshots for yourself. You need a folder of other media that you have been on. This is where your celebrity photos go, your TV shows, that sort of thing. I mean, the reporter can go in there and look around, use what they want, but more importantly, they might find something better or more intriguing to them, and then they will, they will run more of your ads and things like that. So that's the best thing to do. Dropbox link, headshots, book cover photos, and your own media. It doesn't have to be a ton, right? But the fact that they can just go in there and see you have those folders with that history is going to make them more likely to publish you as the expert that you deserve to be. Most people aren't getting published appropriately, including myself. I will tell you, I am horrible about doing for myself what I do for my clients. But once you get in there and they see that you took the time to set that up, they're definitely going to take you more seriously, whether they've ever heard of you or not.
And that's every career path. I've been 70 different jobs in the past 7 years. I've been in the military 20 years, and I've done 10 different military jobs. And almost everywhere you go, it's very rare to have somebody that says, I do awesome in my job and I do it for myself awesomely. Like the IT person waits for their computer to get troubleshoot last. The cook cooks fantastic for the family or for the group, but then they forget themselves and they're eating ramen. So if you're doing worse PR requests for yourself compared to everybody else, that means you're doing your job exceedingly well. So that's good to know.
That. But yeah, I will tell people where the critical mistake for me was, I was doing that for my clients and not myself or hiring someone else, right? So now that's why I have a team now. I have people helping my company with PR, writing my press releases, getting after me the way I get after my clients. And for me, that's definitely also been a step up thing where, I am, if I'm not doing it myself, I'm at least paying someone else to do all the things I'm telling my clients to do, because you really should do that. Most entrepreneurs, myself included, have that do as we say, not as we do. But when you want to level up your income, you have got to be the person where they do as you do, because you do it. It doesn't have to be you personally. Go get someone else to do that stuff. You're too close to it.
Yeah, that's huge. I know Columbia Hospitality, it's a company that my wife used to work for. Her company basically did hospitality for the hotels and the cooking and everything else. So she was cooking at a 5-star restaurant, cooking 5-star meals, but then Columbia Hospitality then contracted out their cooking for all the people that were working. So when they took their 30-minute lunch, they had chefs for the chefs to go over and to eat, and they gave them high quality food. So that's a good strategy, is that, hey, you're doing this for everybody else, but you need to treat yourself well too. So go over and get some great food. So definitely a good strategy to go over and learn. So let's say I'm out there looking for a PR company, and I go over and I go on the internet. I just type in PR company. Really quick, because our veterans and our first responders and stuff like that are just coming there. What's a couple quick tactics to go over and to know if it's a good company compared to one of those companies that just take your money and they say they're going to spread it to whatever places, and then your money's gone?
Two things. Research if that company has helped someone in the same industry as you, right? You don't want to go to a PR company that has gotten Coca-Cola, Juicy Juice, vodka and all that great PR, and you sell sneakers, right? So first of all, make sure that they're doing advertising in the industry that you wish to be in. And as far as PR is concerned as well, ask them for case studies for instances where you in the same industry as well. And I tell everybody, just like if you get in a car wreck, your insurance company is going to make you get 3 quotes before they'll pay for anything. You need to talk to, at a minimum, 3 different PR companies. You need to interview them like they would if they were going to hire you. You need to ask your questions. What case studies? Why do you believe this is the best fit? For me, a huge red flag is, and this happens a lot with us, is if you don't quite have your product ready, don't look to the PR company for that guidance. They're going to take your money and just distribute, right? So if you don't have a product or you don't have that one front door and they still want to take your money, they're not doing what's in your best interest. Don't do it. I will not take on a client if we're going to drive, a bunch of business over to someone who can't handle it or their program's not ready, right? I will not allow a client to pay to put themselves out of business. So don't drive a bunch of business you're not ready for yet. So I think the biggest thing there is be realistic where you're at as an entrepreneur, right? The solution to more money for an entrepreneur is never more clients. Sounds like it should be opposite, but I promise you that more money is never the answer for more clients. It is, being able to be scalable. And so to find out for a good PR company, interview them just like you would anything else. Ask them, can I please see case studies for individuals that are selling similar products? Why do you believe your platform is the best way to go? And tell them, you don't need to give me the super secret ingredient, but how many campaigns will this take? And what that means is most good PR companies are going to have two different kind of phases, right? They're not going to blast your shit out to 24,000 people at once. Sadly, there are companies that will do that. Do not do that. And so just ask those simple questions, educate yourself on, what a good PR should be like, and then interview them just as much as you would expect somebody to interview you for your product. And then you can really narrow down. You can't eliminate the risk 100% with PR, or there's bad eggs out there everywhere, but you certainly will find that the bad eggs have a really hard time giving you those case studies so that you can, see for yourself. And Google the company, get out there. If you see an influencer or someone on that PR company's page, get a hold of them. The amount of times I've gone directly to someone and said, hey, this company said they did this for you. And that individual was like, no, I don't know who that is. Don't take what you see on their website, as gospel truth right away until you can trust them. Reach out to past clients and just say, hey, I saw you on this site. What was your good experience? What was bad? And, collect your information. And you cannot eliminate the risk, but you certainly can make it very, very minuscule. So you pick the right PR company.
And that was good wisdom to go over and to pass that out. That's great. So one of my couple last questions is, with your prior military background and everything else that you have done, how did you get into this line of work? I mean, how do you because you've done so many amazing things, and I'm like, why did you get into this work, and how did you get into it?
Well, I would love to tell you it's because I was brilliant and saw the money opportunity, but sadly that was not the case. A lot of what I do now came from two things. It was an accident, or I was doing something to make my life easier that ended up benefiting my clients. So when my very first business that I started myself after the military was Front Office Solutions as an answering service in a dispatch company. And I was getting plumbers, dentists, doctors, that sort of thing. We were answering their phones from 8 to 5, just like the receptionists would. And what I quickly discovered was these individuals didn't call people back. They weren't maintaining relationships. And so, I'm charging someone only $500 or $600 a month, and their customers are constantly screaming at us, right? Or misunderstanding. And so I very slowly actually started writing the PowerPoint presentations for these folks when they went to Chamber of Commerce meetings. We put into place standard operating procedures for them so it would run smoother. And then, we then moved on to helping them gain more clients, right? Because if their company's going under, they're not going to pay us. So selfishly, I started doing things to make my life and the life of my staff easier. because I'm a firm believer you should not take, $10,000 a month for a $20,000 a month headache. And so it just kind of, that stepping stone, and it built upon itself to where we're at now. Because again, at the end of the day, PR is communication. Business is communication. Everything we do is communication, period. You figure that out and you can, go to that next level and do anything.
So that was really cool. So you were basically taking your military attributes of helping people and then growing both your business and then their business, and then it just overflowed into it. So that's a kind of a cool, calling in a sense that you just streamlined into it. So that means you actually had the experience even before you started. So that's really cool.
I did, and I didn't recognize that it was a valuable thing. When things come natural to people and it takes little effort, we don't realize how valuable that is. And the thing that kept me back the longest was not understanding that not everybody could do what I did. And when I was in the military, I was a hospital corpsman in the Navy. I was in charge of the surgical department, right? So I had to train people. I had to get new equipment. I had to make sure things run smoothly, because I have been in situations where people could have died if we didn't know the next step or didn't have something in place, right? And so when I started kind of working with the influencer realm, I actually found that I stood out, not necessarily because I'm better at things than most people, but because I've been in situations where people would actually die if we screwed it up. When you talk about somebody's company, or like whether it's a tour or a product or whatever that is, nobody's going to die if you make a mistake, right? Nobody's going to die. And I think that's the biggest thing, which allows me to steer my clients towards trying things a little more risky out of their comfort zone than the average PR individual would, for that reason, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to die. And you definitely can then tweak and move forward. So I'm someone who likes to run and shoot. I like to run, get into it, and tweak mid-battle, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense in that regard. It's the same thing. You can't just keep shooting at a target and hoping that if it's a dead target, you don't just keep shooting at it. You got to go and like, all right, I need to realign my scope. I need to realign my aim. I need to go maybe change my front sight or my rear sight. Or what I needed to do is actually, when I got hit with the charging piece with my nose, I actually had to go over and not live in fear and go through those sights and actually pull it back and let it snap back in. So, but I never repivoted. That was on my M16 story. And I'm like, I got 0 out of 40. It would have been nice to go over and say, someone would have came over and said, hey, you pulled it incorrectly. Let me reset it for you. You shouldn't do it again. Watch a couple shots. And then I would have qualified. So it sounds like the same thing you do in the PR world. It's like, hey, you're going to shoot a few and then you're going to retarget to go over and get better aligned.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you as well, again, it's not that I'm any more talented than anyone else. It's we've gotten to the point where we're so afraid to fail in life that we take very little action or do very little things. So if you're an entrepreneur that's only making 5 or 6 decisions a day or taking action on 5 or 6 things, and all of those 5 or 6 things fail, right? You kind of get into that rut where you think it's not the right target, you're not doing a good enough job, or you're not good enough. And it's not that I fail less than anybody else. It's I take a lot more action than anybody else, right? So if one individual's making 10 decisions a day or taking action on 10 things, and I'm doing that on 50, even if 40 of these 50 fail over here, I got the net win, right? I might get one thing that's just amazing done, right? Or 10 decent things, as opposed to, over here where they go and then they stop. And so again, it's, you're in battle, keep moving and adjust, like you said, just fire as you go.
So speaking of tactics, we want to go fire well, and this is one of our last questions, is that If you could share 3 superhero tactics that could help our audience go over and apply in the immediate in our lives of PR, or if you just want to go in general with that, we'd love to go over and to hear that. So what we could actually tangibly get, because there was some life tactics that you gave. It was like, that's huge. Just like, if I only try 5 or 6 things and they fail, I might find out the 7th one's fruitful, and that might have been my most fruitful endeavor. So if you could share upon that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. I don't know if they're necessarily superhero tactics, but the things that work the best for me are, and that you can take immediate action on, are, doing that, more things in a day. I don't care if it's just wash more dishes, make your bed or whatever, right? Get used to the fact that you need to do more than what you're doing in a day. Busy and productive are not the same thing. Educate yourself every day. Your environment is very important. So I think my biggest superhero tactic is I do not consume anything that does not inspire me, make me laugh, or teach me something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, keeping that environment for you is the biggest immediate change. There's a lot of things you can't control in life, but you can control what you listen to, who you listen to, and where it is you want to go. And if you're really careful about just that aspect of your life, you will actually start pulling in better people, because they're the people taking action. They're the people that are only looking to make themselves better. And so do the little things, listen to a podcast, reach out, read a book. Audible's a thing. And if you can work on being 1% better tomorrow as a human being than you are today, you will be 90% above the average folks. It's just that little extra change there, that things will start occurring naturally for you. So I guess the biggest 3 things are, don't be afraid to fail. It's okay. Do more things in a day. In fact, I try to fail. I get up today, I'm like, how much shit can I screw up? Because even on a really bad day, something in there will go right. And so be proud of your failures. Talk about them. Use them. Don't hide them from your clients. Just don't. The amount of clients I call up and go, well, that didn't go as planned. Well, how can we fix that? Own those failures. Be proud of them. Take action, and make sure you can control your environment. If it doesn't inspire you, teach you, or make you laugh or give you something, to your soul, then just don't deal with it. Get it out of your life.
That's a beautiful thing. So taking in the sense of the tyranny of urgent. So that was beautiful to hear. So I wanted to talk about one last thing. We've been in this ticker, we've been having a link that's been passing by over and over again. So we'd love to go and hear what the Starving Dog is about and how people can connect with you. And I heard you might have some type of PR training that's coming up that you can help people out.
Yes, absolutely. And so we have lots of resources. If you go to Facebook and you type in @RealStarvingDog, you're going to find the Starving Dog Action Pack page. Now, the Starving Dog Action Pack is a group of entrepreneurs. Our motto is to take action and just not talk about it. And so our hashtag literally is put action where your hashtag is. What does that mean? Well, that means if you are an entrepreneur, what are you taking action to make yourself better? If you are hashtag me too, are you working with rape victims? If you're hashtag whatever it is, are you actually taking action to get that item complete? And so it's just our little group of entrepreneurs that are in different industries that come in together on the page and help one another take action to their goals, hold one another accountable, and get out there and do real change. And so we have a file section as well for the Starving Dog. So we'll be talking about the 3 critical elements of a press release, how to write your own, the best places to get free PR, right? There's Help a Reporter Out, Hero. You can put your stuff out there yourself. Newsbreak, again, these are things where you can post and the journalists will come to you, and we give that insight so that folks who want to can take the time, learn, and put it into action. I will tell you, please do not come over there and read these things if you aren't actually going to take action. That's the biggest piece above anything else, is you need to take immediate action. I don't know how many courses I've gone through and didn't do anything about it, right? It doesn't get you anywhere. And we bring in experts in the group. So Action Pack members are Les Brown Jr., Steve Sims is a proud member of the Starving Dog Action Pack. We have Brian Bogert. We have a lot of amazing experts who come in there that help you, get the information you need, and then you have to take action. So again, you can listen to and talk to, and I can connect you with all the experts in the world. But if you don't take action, then you're not going to get anywhere. So we give you the knowledge that you need, but we need to get out there and actually pull the trigger and take action. And the great part about our groups are, if you don't know what that next step is, ask. They're ask. People in the group will tell you, right? We don't hang around people who, you got to pay them a ton of money to kind of get the secret. We give them the secrets. People hire us because they don't want to do it themselves, right? Give people the knowledge. Stop being that entrepreneur who hides how you do something. Tell them, because guess what? Most of them aren't going to do it anyway. Tell them how to do it. Give it. And then the right ones are going to pay you then to do it for you. And so you yourself giving out this information to be helpful first, above anything else we talked about PR-wise, is the best PR you can give yourself as an entrepreneur. Because when people start coming to you because you share knowledge, now you have people seeking you out instead of you trying to, pull people in. It's a whole other different type of client when you get to that level.
Oh, yes, I totally agree on that. So what's your action for Monday? That's the one thing I think we forgot to talk about.
My action for this Monday, for me, Mondays are the thing that I hate the worst is my admin day, right? That's the day where I have to sit down and update clients, get the paperwork moved over, all that stuff. Because I'm an action taker, I am not a good maintainer. And so Mondays for us are that maintain day. Make sure that we're lined up, properly, for that. And then, Tuesdays are our touch base Tuesdays. That's where we put out a lot more material and education on, here's a great article for you to read, or, here's this insight, here's how to get on 50 podcasts in the next 30 days, whatever that looks like, is on Tuesdays. But sadly, because I don't like Monday, it's manic Monday. Tamara has to do all the admin stuff that she puts off the rest of the week.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that we hear about a great action that you're doing on Monday, because,
You will.
I'm waiting for that rumor to come to reality. So be watching the post and be watching this feed that you'll see an action she's going to take out of character, but we'll go and see that. So I want to thank you for going over and joining with us. I want to thank our audience for going over and watching on Facebook, on Periscope, on YouTube, and on the Easy Way wall, which you can go over, and on Podopolo, where you can gamify your podcast. With being on the Superhero Sanctum, since we only do this once in a while, we'd love for you to go over and watch the entire episode. But if you can't, but you want to take Tamara to the next level, because we do a TV show on the Easy Way Network, gets broadcasted out in 15 locations, but our podcast and live is kind of a stepping stone for the next game. So all Tamara needs is 3 seconds of your time on Facebook to go over and to watch. And if she gets the most views in 72 hours when we do our next Superhero Sanctum, because again, it's very rare we do it. We had Michael Lecter just a couple days ago on our Wednesday episode, then she will get uplifted. So a 3-second view. Take the wisdom of the 38 minutes and 48 seconds and counting. But if you can't take that much, because she drops so many knowledge bombs on you, watch it in 3-second spurts and give her a view so she can get uplifted to the next level. So Tamara, I want to thank you for joining. Any last final comments before we close out?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for your service. I know you're very heavy in our veteran community, and it takes a village. So I love the fact that you spotlight so many different types of people and get those superheroes out there, because it takes a village, and we need to help one another. So I just wanted to say thank you for doing that in every single way in your business and with your superhero show. I wish more entrepreneurs celebrated one another the way that you do on a regular basis.
Well, thank you for that. And we hope to inspire just one more at a time to go over and to do that. So, and again, if you have that type of motivation to go do that, get back with me because I'd love to go over and show you how to take it to the next level. So we're going to go punch out and you guys all have a good weekend. And again, the conversation's always going. So don't forget, hey, if it's Sunday evening, put it in the feed. We'll connect with